Okay,
fan
on to
service.
the Ask Question segment.
Yeah, really, man. Jeez. Whoa.
Because this show basically amounts to us doing a bunch of cheap fan service.
It is true. It is true. Shake your you-know-what for the money. Okay, so with the Ask Question session or segment, the question was posed, should there be MMA in college or high school, like NCAA sports, youth sports in Canada, et cetera, et cetera? I thought it was interesting. I think it's an interesting question.
I agree.
Yeah.
Interesting. Sorry.
I'll just have once again, I don't think about these opinions too much, so I'll just give you my casual opinion. Yeah, I don't see why not, as long as you pay the athletes and cover their medical expenses. That's
the big thing. I think with prize fighting, athletes deserve to get paid, and I think the NCAA has an abominable record of just exploiting. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they're sucking these poor kids dry for everything that they have, and making them work for free essentially. And the free tuition argument, I don't buy it. Like.
Trust me, I've had plenty of education. It's not worth as much.
No, exactly. Yeah,
it's not worth as much as you think.
And not to mention, in not to get all political again, but in the United States, where they supposedly can't afford subsidized healthcare, the NCAA, like the individual organizations, sports organizations, are subsidized to the tune of tens of millions of dollars each.
Oh yeah,
financially successful organizations. So I think, given their poor track record, maybe it might not be the best look. And I mean, schools have a tendency not to advocate for combat sports anyways. Like, boxing's been around forever, and it's been far more popular than it is today. Think of like the 1920s. And for whatever reason, wrestling, there's another one, but for some reason,
it's in the NCAA.
Wrestling is in the NCAA, but something about strikes to the head and, academic institutions, people seem to be a little bit uncomfortable with those two things being paired together. But it is an interesting thought experiment. What do you think, Mike?
Well, to me, I think, like, how like amateur MMA doesn't pay the athletes, right? And I'm not saying they should. That's not my thing, right? But like, why not have MMA in NCAA work like, or collegiate athletics work like the amateur scene, right? Like, why not have it like you wear like, I'm not saying headgear per se, but you wear protective. But like,
because headgear doesn't do anything to prevent brain trauma.
There you go.
That's the science argument here. I mean, to appease the
but like, why not
fans.
have protective, like heavy protective gear? Like, let's say instead of like what ounce they use in the UFC? I think 6 or 4.
Yeah.
Why not make it 6 or 8 in amateur, and wear shin pads and wear like knee pads, and then make it more of a point fighting thing in the NCAA?
I have an answer for that, because that would look horrible.
It would, but like, I guess. But my point is that why not have it work like the amateur scene in the collegiate scene, in collegiate athletics, right? Still have your amateur leagues here and there, like your War of Gods and your whatever, what I'm saying, and your MFLs.
War of Gods.
Shout out to War Gods, right? But have it, still have your MFLs and your War of Gods, right? Almost like your club wrestling scene, and then have your collegiate MMA scene be your like collegiate amateur scene. You get what I'm saying? And then make it work like that.
I don't think the NCAA or those organizations would ever bite. I think it's interesting, though.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't see why they won't try it.
If it gets popular enough, I can see them doing it.
I mean,
everything is driven by the
just
market.
Have it be your amateur, right? Have it be amateur. I'm not saying pro mixed martial arts should happen in collegiate athletics, but amateur mixed martial arts, I can see it.
Do you think though I think I agree they should get paid, absolutely.
But I think they should get paid in amateur mixed martial arts too. Like like that's
100%. But my big reason why I don't think they would do it, and I'm not necessarily saying it would be bad or good for the sport either way. It might be good for it. Might give it a lot more attention. But my reasoning for why they might not do it is with these recent studies on CTE and brain trauma. I don't know that the NCAA and those other organizations would be running to necessarily get into a sport with as negative perception as fighting. It's like fighting, I think, is really, as much as MMA has become more mainstream, I still don't think it's a part of the zeitgeist. And
I agree.
And I don't think it ever will be. I don't think we would want it to be.
I definitely agree, but look at football, man. That's not something. Like college football is more popular than ever. So
sure, yeah, but I agree, but college football is a part of the
zeitgeist. Has like 100 years of tradition.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if it becomes part of the zeitgeist, which I think more and more, we're getting a better cultural understanding of what MMA is, and I think it's starting to. Oh my goodness, I hate when I use words like permeates. First of all, I want to put a rule of the number of syllables we're allowed to use on words on this podcast, and I think we should top it at 3.
I agree. This is a Christian podcast, therefore it's lowbrow. We can't be using $5 words.
Whoa! Why do we have to be so
We're gonna take that one out. We're gonna take that one out. That was bad.
We gotta go a little bit slower for the Christian fans here. Okay.
We're gonna take that out.
Guys,
I can't remember my point anymore. I just think like, wait, what was my point?
No more $5.
MMA, CTE.
Oh yeah, no. That football is still popular, and it's college football is more popular than ever. So I think as soon as MMA becomes not as popular as football, because I don't think in America anything's going to be
ever get there.
But even like we have college like lacrosse, which is not a combat sport, but it's this violent. We have college hockey here in Canada, and fights break out all the time, and it's part of the culture.
Less so, actually. In hockey, the amount of fights that have been happening has gone way down. Yeah, it's almost not even a part of the sport anymore.
But it's still a contact sport, and it's still a sport where CTE is a worry. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that I don't see, like, look, whether athletes should get paid or not paid in amateur athletics is not my point, right? But my point is that, like,
point. That's the most important point. That's the only point.
It should be the only point. Hold on. But it's just simply the question is, should there be MMA in college or high school? I would incline to say yeah, because I think one of the biggest issues is that even when you're in amateur athletics in MMA without collegiate as support, it's pretty hard to sustain. Like, you see a lot of great talents just stop because, like, they can catch more quick money elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
So why not have it like you go to your local school, you try out for your local MMA, like your MMA team, and you guys have like two welterweights, two whatever, like 2 of each division, and you go to a meet. You go to an MMA meet,
so
right?
I'm not gonna.
I think there's something there to streamline it where you can get more athletes who can't necessarily afford MMA classes, who can try out at the amateur for a while, for 4 years, and if it works out for them, then boom, the UFC knows that they can kind of look at these guys to watch.